If you have ever done craft fairs and sold your crochet at markets, you know that selling at fall markets is a totally different world than selling at spring markets. Today, we're going to talk about the difference, what I wish I had known before doing my first spring market, and some ideas for you to make your markets as profitable as possible. So, welcome everyone to another episode of Crochet Business Chat podcast. I'm so happy to have you here today. My name is Pam Grice, the Crochetpreneur, and I'm on a mission to help 100,000, I almost said a million, 100,000 makers find financial freedom through crochet. If I seem a little bit out of sorts, it's because my streaming software was like, it's time to go live, and I wasn't quite ready yet. So I'm a little discombobulated, but we are going to get on with things. So I had asked in the chat, how long have you been selling at markets? And we have a couple of responses here. Emily started in fall 2024. Crafty Kathy has her first show this Saturday. Awesome. Connie said she stopped for over 10 years and now she's trying to get back into it. Nice. And Cheryl said, I'm thinking about selling at a market, trying to get more information on how to do it. And Andrea said since 2018. So we have a wide range of experiences here. And so I'm happy to have you here if you're watching live to share your experiences. And I'm going to share a couple of mine. So how about we get started talking about craft fairs? And now spring craft fairs can be magical. It's such a great time of year. Everything's turning green, flowers are blooming, people are feeling re-energized and excited for a new season, and that's great. But spring is also very unpredictable, particularly if you're doing shows outside. So we're going to talk about that, like I said, and I'm going to share 5 things I wish I'd known before I started my first market. So the first one, and I should have known this, when you first start a business and you first start taking steps into new things, you don't know what to consider. You don't know what questions to ask, and you don't know what things to pay attention to. And one of those things for me was to recognize that spring weather is your frenemy. While it can be sunshiny and beautiful and people are excited to be outside. There's Mo, my dog, hanging out. Excited to be outside and wanting to buy and wanting new things. Also, you have to deal with the potential for sunshine, rain, wind, hail, all of the things, even all in one day. So the hard part is figuring out how to prepare for the weather because most spring markets are outside. So things you want to consider are the quality of your tent. You want it to be able to withstand rain and wind. I suggest getting a tent with sides on all 4 sides where you can open the front and allow people to come in. I would keep the sides up during nice weather, but be able to put them down quickly when rain or winds come. Also, think about the weights that you're going to use to hold your tent down. I have experienced up to, I would say, maybe 50-mile-an-hour winds. I have seen some harsh things happen at markets. With the wind, I've seen tents flying all over. I've seen people hit by tents that are flying through the air and landing on people and people getting hurt. And you just don't want to be that person because then you're liable. So cement blocks are nice to tie things down to. Also sandbags, weighted, water-filled bags, whatever you can find that works for you and is easy to transport for you. Get some weights to hold your tent down. And I would say get twice as many as you think you need, because when those winds come, they can be really fierce, and your tent is sort of like a parachute, and it can be quickly lifted off the ground, and then everything is not good. So tents, weights, sidewalls, plastic. So plastic to cover up your items, to protect it from rain if you need that. It's just a good idea. Bring a poncho for yourself if you need that. They can be, folded up into little pouches. Clothespins to hold things down. It's always a good idea. Um, and one of my favorites, two things that maybe you hadn't thought of. One is zip ties. Zip tying your display together in some ways. Zip tying, um, your tablecloth to your table, all kinds of things like that, just to ensure that everything is secure. And then also hand warmers. Spring mornings can be very, very chilly. So I would recommend having some of those hand warmers that you can just rip out of the bag, shake it up, and it's nice and warm. Stick those in your pockets while you're setting up your booth, and that should help you to stay warm. So the number one tip to think about is weather and preparing for the unexpected or the expected. All right, the next is remember that your best sellers in winter may not be good sellers in the spring. People's minds are shifting from warm and cozy to cool and flowy, right? So they're thinking about, I want to stay cool, or I want to stay warm in the morning and cool at night. So things that can be, or cool in the afternoon, things that can be adjustable. Um, think about bringing in more color into your product line. So people love neutrals in the cool of winter, and in the springtime, they're thinking colorful. They're thinking flowers, they're thinking springtime colors. And so you might want to shift your inventory. So take a look at lightweight scarves, market baskets. People are going to be outside more. Think about Easter gifts, spring decor. And again, looking at seasonal springtime colors rather than neutrals or dark, really saturated, moody jewel tones, right? So you're thinking more about spring because people are in that mood. So that's something to think about as you move into spring markets. So your best sellers in winter may flop in spring. Rework your product line to really attract springtime buyers. All right, number 3 is the impulse buy effect is real. In spring, people are just kind of out there doing their thing. They're not looking for, large gifts and things like that. So low price items typically do better in the spring than high price items. So you're thinking things like, chapstick holders, or maybe iPad covers, or sunglass holders, or uh, things like that, or scrunchies that you can charge between $5 and $10 for and still make a profit. But you can kind of put those together in a section of your booth that's all sort of low cost items. And likely those impulse buyers, maybe coasters, those impulse buyers are going to gravitate toward those lower price things in the springtime. So also think about pricing psychology. Think about how you can bundle things together to make it look like they're getting a better deal, or how you can price your items to speak to that psychological idea about, how people charge $19.99 instead of $20. I don't like to charge cents when I'm at a craft fair, but $19 instead of $20, $17 instead of $16. Those sorts of ending in odd numbers is shown to encourage people to buy more than ending in even numbers. So take a look at that. And again, bundles, figuring out ways to bundle or upsell, those kinds of things can really help with that impulse buy effect, where if someone is purchasing something and you say, oh, I have this other thing that goes with that. So think about creating a product line that's cohesive enough that you can mix and match, and you can upsell products as the person is checking out. You'll get an easier yes if it's something that coordinates with what the person is already purchasing. So think about those things. And before I go too far, speaking of pricing, I do have an upcoming free workshop called Price It Right, and it is free. It's going to be about 90 minutes long. It's going to include some bonuses and a pricing spreadsheet for you to work out your own best pricing model. So if you are a product seller that struggles with pricing, down in the description or up in the description or over there in the description, you will find a link to the Price It Right workshop where you can join us live free. After it's free, it's going to be for sale for a pretty low price, just because we want to help people. But we would love to have you join us for the Price It Right workshop. So don't forget about that. I wanted to just get that in there before I forgot. All right. Number 4 is spring markets have a totally different vibe than winter markets or fall markets. In the fall or in the winter, people are, like I said, looking for gifts. They're stressed out. They're sort of rushing from booth to booth. They're not really strolling along, taking their time, just enjoying the vibe typically, right? So think about, as people are strolling, less inclined to actually buy, they're sort of going for the market experience, but not necessarily going with an idea of, I'm going to walk away with a gift for so and so, or I'm going to get stocking stuffers, or I'm going to get specific things. So think about how you can interact with your customers in a different way than you might at your winter and fall markets. And that might mean adding some sort of interactive element to your booth. It could be a giveaway if that's allowed. It could be a demonstration. It could be create your own experience as people walk through your booth, something that will attract people into your booth as they're just strolling, because they're out for a spring stroll. They're not really out to buy. So you want to entice them into your booth and encourage them to then purchase something. So think about those things. And really, during this time, as you're gearing up towards your spring market, think about, how do I make my booth Instagrammable? How do I position my branding around the booth so that people are encouraged to take photos in the booth? You might even have take a photo, tag us on Instagram, get a 10% discount, something like that. So you get that free marketing from whoever's at your booth. So they will tell their friends, like, you're looking at trying to get a local market, right? You're at a local in-person space. So you're looking at trying to get people to invite their friends who are also in that local area to come down. So think about how you can create an experience in your booth that encourages them to take photos, post them on Instagram, tag your booth, and tell their friends to come visit you as well. So get creative. The more creative, the better. The more different your booth is, the more different your experience is, the more likely you are to attract these window shoppers. All right, and get them to actually buy something. Okay, and finally, this was something I had to learn the hard way. You are always going to forget something. Something will always go wrong. Whether you forget your cash box, or you forget your Stripe, credit card swiper, or you forget some of your signage, you forget your tablecloths, whatever it is, you're going to forget something along the way. And I want you to recognize, this is what I do with everything that I launch. I say, all right, I'm going to get curious about what's going to go wrong this time. And I'm just going to wait for it to show up so I can say, all right, there it is. That's the thing that was going to go wrong. Now we can adjust, be flexible, make new plans, and figure it out and move on with our day. Today I started a blog hop of free patterns for spring market makes. You can check that out at madewithatwist.com. And my design was the first pattern offered, and it was offered for free. And when people downloaded it, all they got was the cover sheet of the pattern. They didn't get the actual pattern. So I woke up this morning to an inbox full of messages like, hey, I think something's wrong. And I was like, okay, well, that happened early. So I just uploaded the correct PDF, sent an apology, sent an update to everyone, and things were fine. So don't catastrophize things when something goes wrong. because it will go wrong. Just know that it's okay for things to not be perfect. Do the best you can, adjust, and get on with selling and enjoying your business. One thing, I do have a craft fair tracker that I've linked in the description that helps with a little bit with that forgetting pieces. It has your how much you paid for your booth, what your booth number is, who the contact is from the craft fair. Oh, wait a second, I have an image of it here. Let me add it here. Okay, so it looks like this, your craft fair tracker, and then here on this page, it has the contact name, the location. Sometimes you forget what's your booth number, your booth size, your table sizes. So whenever you're applying for or getting approved for your craft fair, write these down in your tracker, what your booth fee was. Did you request tables? Did you request electricity? The date you applied, the date you were accepted, did you have a raffle or swag item, your goals, your actual sales, and a place to put the sales tax rate. So those are all inside that craft fair tracker, and I just print out one for every market that I apply to, and that helps to keep track of these things so that you don't forget, like, what is the sales tax I'm supposed to charge at this particular show, and you know, what was my booth number? What are my size tables going to be again? All of those things. So you can grab that for free again down in the description. What else do I have? Oh, put together a checklist. So everybody has different things on their checklist. I do have a checklist inside my craft fair planner, if you have the craft fair planner. But put together a checklist of all the things you want to remember. And then something I did was I kept all of my supplies together in a single bin, or multiple bins, depending. But I just didn't unpack that bin when I got home. So it had all of my supplies. It had my extension cords, all my signage. It had my tablecloths. It had all of my clothespins and safety pins and pens and my stripe card reader. Like, all of those things I just keep in that bin and I don't unpack it. When I get home, it just stays there, so I know for my next craft fair, everything I had at my last show, I have for this show. If I did forget anything, I make sure when I get home, I put it in that bin, and then we're all set for the next fair, and I don't have to stress about it. So grab my tracker, put together a checklist, and keep your supplies all together when you get home, and that should help eliminate some of those issues that you might have with forgetting things for your booth. All right. That's everything I had for you today. So those are just 5 things that I've learned along the way to think about as you're going from fall markets to spring markets. So again, let's go over them real quick. So spring weather is your frenemy. Prepare for the inevitable wind, rain, maybe even snow, maybe hail. All right. Your best sellers in winter may flop in spring, so take a look at your inventory and rework it as necessary. Plan for impulse buys. Here, I should click on these. Plan for impulse buys and have some low price items for those people who are just walking by and looking for fun things. Remember that spring markets have a totally different vibe than winter markets, and plan how to attract those strollers, those springtime window shoppers, to attract them into your booth, get them to market for you, and then figure out how to make the sale and upsell from there. And then finally, give yourself some grace. You're going to forget something, and that's okay. All right. So don't forget to like this video so other people get notified and they come watch it. Don't forget to subscribe for more crochet business tips along the way, and share this video. Comment below with any questions that you have. And right now, I'm going to go check out our comments for those who are here watching live with us today. Let's see. Someone's here from Arvado, and it can snow in May. Yes, ma'am. I'm involved with a whole bunch of Canadian fiber and yarn initiatives. Unfortunately, my biggest market for things like custom sweaters is still in the US. I'm from Canada. but do things here. Wait, I'm trying to catch up on where this string started. Good morning. Think about selling at a market, trying to get more information. I sell where I live in a senior community where they have a community room in the senior center that I live in. That's awesome. That's a great way to serve your fellow community members. Sarah said, I hope people are having a good morning. Mine is stressful as I have to wrangle this whole tariff thing. Yes, we're going to get more information on that. I was going to talk about that today, and I was like, I don't have enough information to know what I'm talking about, so I don't want to just wing it. So I'm waiting for some more information on how that impacts handmade sellers, small business owners, and how to manage that. So more to come on that. So there's lots of talks about that. Canada, looking forward to the Price It Right workshop. Your videos have really helped me focus on what I really need to do to have success. Yay, I'm so glad. Actually started with the bin with everything I will need. That's so great, Kathy. That's good. So that is it for our, sorry, I'm trying to get this off my screen for those of you who are here. Okay. That is it for our Monday morning Crochet Business Chat podcast. Thank you all for being here. I'd love to hear your tips for spring markets. If you've done some spring markets and you've figured out what works for you, won't you share it in the comments so others will get to learn from your experiences as well. Thanks so much for being here. I will be back again tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 a.m. Eastern Time for Coffee with Crochetpreneur, and we will be doing some live call-in coaching. So I hope you'll join us at that time to get some individual coaching on your crochet business. Till then, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.